How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It was hard getting in. Traffic was bad, then the rain came.
Yep. I drove down I drove my girls and some other girls up to camp
Oh, okay.
and turned right around and
Came back, yeah.
back. So their camp's in Spruce Pine.
Yep.
So had traffic.
What camp is it?
Spring Maid Mountain. Thank you. Anyway, traffic.
Yeah. Got some snacks too. Got the beef jerky and everything on it.
Just dinner, yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 6, 2025 regular meeting of the Our first item of the business will be to have a moment of silence for prayer or personal reflection, if you would, please. Thank you. Next, if you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have a quorum determination. We do have a quorum here tonight, so we can proceed with business. The first item will be to adopt an agenda. Everyone should have a copy before them. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we move item C, the NCCS Board of Education resolution opposing consolidation, to letter A, so these fine people who are here tonight can get on with their evening.
So we have a motion to move item C to item A. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our public forum. We do not have any presentations or recognitions tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we extend public forum so long as we need to have all these fine people speak with us tonight.
There's a motion to extend public forum to allow everyone to speak tonight. Is there a second?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll go into our public forum. The first person we have signed up to speak tonight, Judge Amy Walker. Good evening, Judge.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to keep time?
Yes,
3 minutes?
please.
So-
Yeah, everyone will have 3 minutes, and Mr. Shatley, our counsel, will keep time.
So I will raise my hand when you have 30 seconds left, and then I will just say time when 3 minutes is up.
Good evening. I am Judge Amy Sigmund Walker, and I didn't bring any notes. I am speaking entirely from my heart tonight. Fun fact, you have 3 sitting judges currently in Catawba County, all of whom are products of this school district, and all of whom have their children or have had their children come through this school district. And there's a reason why. Newton-Conover has a unique ability to service the people and the children and the family of this community. I'm also a district court judge who's been on the bench for going on 24 years. And I can tell you unequivocally, with the families that I see from all over the county, that the needs of this district are different than the needs of Bandy's and the needs of Bunker Hill and the needs of Fred T. Ford. And it's been amazing as a student to go through here, but then as a parent to have my children here to see how quickly the school district was able to navigate COVID. I think the county was out of school and waiting to get up virtual much longer than Newton was. I remember during that time, we fed children. We had the ability to feed children during that time. I've worked with a Judges in School program, a truancy program, Dr. Gabriel, I don't know how many years we've done it. And I've come into the school. We brought children and families into my courtroom to address truancy issues so that they don't have to come to court, so they don't have to be part of the court process. It's much more difficult for a big school system, for the county, to do that at the level that Newton's been able to do it. I don't think anybody that lives in this county that drives from Newton to Mooresville would disagree that this county has grown. And that there probably are issues with being able to seat the number of students in different areas. But to absorb our school system into a bigger school system is a Band-Aid. It's not a fix. And if you're going to try to fix this, I think that everybody that is impacted, county parents, county students, Newton City and their families, and Hickory City, because I've looked at the statute, and I think that it involves all three districts. But it needs to be done not behind closed doors and not shoving it down any district's throat, but there needs to be a discussion. We need to look at options to see if an absorption of Newton City is actually what is going to be best for this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Walker. Next, we have Dr. Sylvia White. Dr. White, good evening. Glad to see you back on the grounds.
It's good to be on the ground. Now, look, you got to put a stool behind this podium when it's this tall. I'm sorry, but I am back here, all right? I'm going to jump right in and take off really fast. There's a lot I'd like to say and not enough time to say what all I want to say. First of all, though, I would like to say that local control equals local accountability. We need something, we talk to these folks, and they get back to us. They know our kids, they are our kids, and we are theirs. Excellence should not be overlooked. Newton-Conover City School has long been a very high-performing district in this state. Right now, they have no school in this district below a C. How many districts can say that? Not many. I'm also going to expound on what Judge Walker says. I've done some work. I've worked for 40 years in this district, on and off, over time. I've worked in some other districts in this county. Our students do not all look alike. Our needs of our students are not all alike. Our size allows us the ability to respond more rapid and more individual based on our students' needs and our community needs. Absorbing us in a bigger district will not allow that to continue. Let's talk about the real cost of consolidation. Two studies, one recently in Vermont and another one recently in Buncombe County, as recent as 2025. I have a copy if anybody wants it. There it is. We are talked about a little bit in there. And it talks about that consolidation is not provide convincing evidence. There's not convincing evidence that consolidation would bring about a large financial savings. Actually, there leaves no real evidence that there is a financial benefit. Funds are shifted, not saved. And there's all kinds of data that has backed that for many years. The COG did many years ago a study here that showed the same thing. We talk about the big figures, we forget about the little numbers that come to the district. Catawba County is growing. Let's be honest, our county leaders have encouraged it. They've approved the growth, and we've been excited about it. But with growth comes responsibility. More people means more need for police, fire. Yes. Now we're talking.
Don't let it be said we don't aim to serve.
That's right. With more people comes more need for police, fire, medic, and schools. The responsibility should not be paid by erasing or absorbing Newton-Conover City Schools. Newton-Conover has done more than just manage its excellence. We will start this school year, when it starts, with a fund balance of $3.2 million. That's a good fund balance for a school system this size. There's funds that you don't talk about or they don't talk about. Newton-Conover City School, because of its demographics, gets $642,000 a year in Title I, $41,000 in Title III. Just to talk about it, my hands went up, so I got to stop. In 2012, we got our first building in this era. It was going to be an elementary school. We made it a middle school. We converted the middle school to an elementary school, gave this school district a greater capacity. We got in 2019, we wrote the first grant to get a new high school, followed by 3 more grants, give $65 million to this school district based on this school district's demographics. Consolidation is not a fix. It's not a savings. It's a shift of funds.
Thank you, Dr. White. Coach Don Patrick, good evening, sir. I think a familiar face to everyone, and we are so glad to have you in attendance this evening.
Amy, it gets worse as you get older. I wrote my notes, and now I can't read them. I don't know what to do, so I'll just do the best I can. I'd like to start out by commending the commissioners of Catawba County. And the reason I'm doing that is they have not waited till the last minute to address this problem. They've at least given us a little bit of time to get ourselves straight and to take initiative on behalf of Newton-Conover City Schools. They have taken time to think this thing through instead of having a knee-jerk reaction when it gets critical. If you ride around in Catawba County, you're going to see housing developments, you're going to see everything, and it's going to end up being a critical time for Catawba County. And thanks to our commissioners for going ahead and setting up nights like tonight, we get an opportunity that some others would not give them. Now, when I was traveling around a little bit for Newton-Conover, I heard 3 main things about consolidation. The first thing I heard is bigger is not always better. If you're looking at Mecklenburg County, they have made an effort to put things apart instead of pull it together. If you look at other counties, they do the same thing. I don't think we need to get into that because bigger is not always better. The second thing that you always hear is beware of numbers. Beware of numbers. They will mislead you. That's not saying that people are dishonest or not telling the truth. What it's saying is that sometimes when you hear these numbers, they don't really end up being what you think they're going to be when consolidation occurs. And then the third thing you hear is the little man always gets what's left over. The little man always gets the short end of the stick. And we would be the little man. The other thing that I think our commissioners had better have an answer to right now, I dare say that if I went through this audience right now and asked your biggest concern, the question would be, why not Hickory? Newton-Conover's involved, Catawba County's involved, why not Hickory? Now, I was out of town when Philip called me, so I haven't got to do my homework. But in looking at it, it looks like the overloaded schools are primarily elementary schools in Hickory City system. Well, if you're going to have to find an answer for those people when they reach middle school or high school,
That's your time,
why
sir.
are they not a part of this consolidation? Folks, and I guess my time's getting close, but I'd like to just say this to you. I could stand here an hour. I love Newton-Conover City Schools. I believe in the educational process that we're giving our young people. And our commissioners need to realize that they have got to look after the students in this system. It is not a political question. It is not a total financial question. It's what can we do to best serve our students. I guarantee you Dr. Gabriel has seen more in elementary schools and middle schools than Dr. Stover at the county.
Coach
because
Patrick,
it's just the way it is.
I hate to cut you off, but I've got to cut you off, Coach.
Good.
We appreciate your words.
Thank you. I just need another hour.
Next on the list, we have Jeremiah McLean. Good evening, sir. Glad to have you with us.
All right, it's going to be hard to follow, Coach Patrick. Good evening. My name is Jeremiah McLean. I've been a resident of Newton since 2010. Before that, I served in the U.S. Navy out of Virginia. And prior to my service, I grew up in Conover. I am a product of Newton-Conover City Schools. And today, I'm the father of a rising 8th grader. I'm here tonight to voice my opposition to a potential merger with Catawba County Schools. Let me be clear, I don't think poorly of Catawba County Schools. As a student athlete from 7th grade through graduation, I competed at many schools in our conference. Granted, it's been a while, but I do remember their well-maintained facilities and dedicated staff. My concerns are not about the quality of Catawba County schools, but about what we stand to lose here as a community. My main concern is the loss of our voice, as parents, as students, and as educators. I'm not someone who likes to raise a fuss. If you get my burger wrong, I'll probably just sigh and eat it anyway. But when it comes to my now teenage daughter, I keep an ear to the ground. I'll admit this is my first board meeting, but while I do hold my child to a high standard, rest assured I've had phone conversations with faculty in the past on her behalf. I understand teaching can be a challenge, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and I want to let educators do their job, but I still want my opinion to carry some weight. You'll have a hard time convincing me that I would have as much say as a parent in a system with 20,000 students as I do in a system with 2,800. This applies to the Newton-Conover staff as well. I want my daughter's teachers to be heard and to have what they need to help my daughter succeed. It might take a village to raise a child, but it doesn't take a county. Thank you, board members, for your time and for your service to our community. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. McLean, and thank you for your service. Next, Ms. Debbie Bendy. Proud red blazer winner there, supporting that blazer.
Thank you. I am a proud retired teacher from the Newton-Conover school system. Over my 40 years in education, I've also had the privilege of teaching in Catawba County school system, Newton-Conover, and even after my retirement, I continued serving both systems, as well as working at Lenoir-Rhyne University and Catawba Valley Community College, because I believe deeply in the power and the importance of education. One of the honors I hold dearest was being presented the Red Blazer Award, a recognition given to those who have shown long-standing commitment to a betterment of Newton-Conover City Schools. I wear it not just with pride, but with purpose. And it is that spirit that I come to you tonight. I want to go on record as strongly opposing the proposed forced consolidation of Newton-Conover and Catawba County school systems as planned by our county commissioners. Being an educator today is harder than ever. The challenges our teachers face and the staff are growing in number and complexity. That is why your continued support, this board's unwavering support for our educators, has never been more vital or more appreciated. It is deeply disheartening to see actions being taken at the county level that threaten to dismantle the strong, collaborative, and successful school community that we have built here together at Newton-Conover. Our schools are not just institutions. They are cornerstones of this community. We should be investing in them, lifting them up, not dividing them out of political convenience or personal agenda. Tonight, I ask you, board, respectively, 3 things. 1, stand firm in support of Newton-Conover educators and the quality education that they provide. 2, pass a formal resolution opposing this consolidation so that the county commissioners and the broader public clearly understand that this proposal is not the best interest of our students or our schools. And 3, tell us how we as a community can stand with you, how we can continue to support Newton-Conover City Schools during this uncertain time. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for standing up for what is right, not just today, but for the future of our children and this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bandy. Next, we have Joy Dennison. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here tonight not because I have a whole lot of numbers to throw at anybody or information as far as what it takes to run a school or let alone a school system, but I do have a heart for the kids of Newton-Conover. I work at Conover School, as most of you know, and by the time this takes effect, I'm probably going to be retired. I don't have kids in school anymore, but the kids I love are still going to be there. I've seen firsthand what Catawba County tries to do as far as the kids they try to send our way to mix in with our special needs kids that are just not a good fit, you know, when we therefore say, no, sorry, we can't take them, not here. And I'm just afraid that if this happens, we no longer will have a choice. We're not going to have a choice of who goes to our schools, who doesn't, who they mix in with who. We're just not going to have a choice on what's best for our kids. I know I don't have to say to you guys, you know, to keep fighting for us. I know you will. So I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for fighting for us and let us know how we can help. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Dennison. Next, we have Nicole Arami. I'm probably butchering that last name, and for that, I apologize. We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Nicole Maynard Arami, formerly Nicole Christine Maynard, and I am both a proud product of Newton-Conover City Schools and the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. Though I was out of district, I was welcomed into Newton-Conover City Schools during my formative years, a decision that helped shape my future and my values. My mother, Diane Kiesler Maynard Bolick, served as a guidance counselor for over 30 years in this district, dedicating her career to supporting students at Conover School, South Newton Elementary School, Thornton Elementary School, and ACT. And I served as a substitute teacher during the past academic year for Newton-Conover City Schools. My family has a deep and lasting roots in this community. It is because of this legacy and because I believe in the value of public education that I sought for my 2 adopted sons, Ryder Arami, age 9, and Kiesler Arami, age 7, both of whom have IEPs, to attend Newton-Conover City Schools out of district. I believed that they too could benefit from the strong community and academic excellence I once experienced. Before our move to an in-district address and eventually to Virginia, both of my daughters, Fatima Grace, age 20, a current junior at Florida Southern College pursuing a dual major in accounting and dance, and Amira Bradley Arami, age 18, an incoming first-year student as a junior with an associate's degree and pursuing a degree in political science with a pre-law focus, were permitted to attend Newton-Conover City Schools as out-of-school, out-of-district students from a Catawba County address. Their time at Newton-Conover City Schools helped build a strong academic foundation, and I had hoped to offer my sons the same opportunity. I was initially encouraged when 2 principals within Newton-Conover City Schools expressed genuine enthusiasm about my sons attending their schools, and I can share those email threads with you. However, that enthusiasm changed once it became known that my children, my 2 adopted sons, receive special education services. I was left deeply disappointed, not only because of the rejection, but because it revealed an uncomfortable truth about how inclusion may still be conditional. To be clear, I did not ask for anything extraordinary. I asked that my children be allowed the same opportunity I was given, to learn, to grow, and to thrive in an environment that once helped me do the same. I was especially heartbroken that my younger son could not participate in the dual immersion program, a program that would provide lifelong cognitive and cultural benefits, simply because the board would not approve his attendance. As you gather tonight to discuss the possible consolidation of Newton-Conover City Schools into the Catawba County Schools system, I urge you to think not only about facilities and funding, but about equity, access, and the moral responsibility.
Mr. Rami, that's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rami. Mr. Willard, Jerry Willard. Good evening, sir. Glad to have you back on campus as well, sir.
I'm a history teacher and a civics teacher. I've been teaching AP government for a long time. I've taught a lot of these folks, especially some of these judges. I've got probably more respect for this little school district than anything in my educational career. And as Don Patrick would say, Jerry, you're old as dirt. Not only that, I recall something that Mark Twain once said. History does not repeat itself. It just rhymes like hell. We've been through this once. We've been through this once. And I guarantee you, if you go to Charlotte-Mecklenburg today and ask those board members, what is their number one issue, they'll tell you we're probably too dang big. And they will tell you, you start redrawing school districts and taking people out of communities, you're going to upset the basic foundation of democratic government. I'm hearing all the time now about how we should be moving our government back closer to the local level because that's where people listen to you. I certainly hope so. Like Coach Patrick, I highly respect the county commissioners of this county. They're doing a good job to the best of their ability. But they don't have all the numbers, nor have they shared the numbers that we all need to know. There's one school in this district that touches me intellectually, morally, spiritually, as much as Newton-Conover High School, and that's Conover School. I guarantee you somebody needs to look at federal law that says, commissioners, have you asked one parent at Conover School yet how that school is going to be changed and how the lives of those kids are going to be changed? If civics matters, what happens in these kinds of meetings matters. It's time, and I'm hearing this all over the place, government needs to be moved down the hill to the local government where it's transparent and everybody can hear and see what's going on. I'm like these other folks. Phil called me just in the middle of the week. I don't know all the things the county commissioners are looking at, but I'm sure they're looking at something. But I tell you what, they need to make sure they share it. And I certainly hope that we can keep 3 school systems that provide choice. People move to these communities because they like something about the community. And I certainly hope we can stop this by presenting a clear and open dialogue between us and the commissioners to look at the best thing for kids in this district. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Willard. Candy House. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
I'm also back here. Thank you, sir. I got it. Thank you, dear. Okay, somebody left some reading glasses here. Well, thank you for letting me speak. I am wholly opposed to stripping the Newton-Conover City School System of their sovereignty and their independence. The very fact that Newton is small and independent is why it is successful. My parents went there, my dad went there, all my uncles, I did. My children have graduated from there and are extremely successful. The students, the parents, the teachers, the faculty, and indeed this very board deserves better than to be sold for a few $1 million. Have we not earned the right to be our own system over these decades? Have we not proven time and time again that the Newton-Conover school system is the highest performing system in the county? Academically, musically, athletically. When our heritage and our history and our tradition was attacked, it was the Newton-Conover High School marching band that stood alone with our community and courageously led the Old Soldiers Reunion Parade down the center of town. That took a lot of guts. If they had been in the Catawba County school system, they would have been prohibited from marching in that band, in that parade, excuse me. The Catawba County school system and its board has been plagued with problems. In fact, a group of mothers, Mama Bears of Catawba County, was formed solely to protect their children that are in that system from the very left ideologies. They have successfully replaced several board members, and rightfully so. When a relationship between two entities or even two people is formed, the one with the lowest ability, education, critical thinking, never rises up to the level of the one with the highest degree. This one always has to drop down its standards to meet this person or this entity. And that's what would happen if we got sucked into that school system. The Newton-Conover citizens pay very high property taxes. As most of you know, we had an increase in our taxes. We pay city and county taxes. Okay, we pay $16 million a year in city tax, $17 million a year in city taxes, and we pay $17 million a year in county taxes. But yet most of our services come from the city. And we only get $5.5 million from the county board for our operating expenses. So basically what Newton-Conover schools are doing, Newton-Conover citizens in both cities, is we're subsidizing the county. That subsidy's going to end. And now, Mr. Eisenhower wants to take our city school system away from us
Ms.
that we
House,
hold
that's
so
your
much
time.
pride for. Let me just say, a few years back, some of you Conover residents remember when we had a similar situation with the Walmart that was a done deal as well. We replaced every single city councilman. It only took us 2 election cycles. And you know what? It wasn't hard. And so I'd hate to see that happen again, but
Ms.
if we
Foss,
have to put our attention in that direction, we can.
I've got to cut you off, but thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Bryson Smith and Braden Blackwell. For a change, Mr. Smith doesn't have a camera pointed at us, so we appreciate that.
I know it's kind of nice, ain't it?
Yes.
All right. So thank you, board and audience, for hearing me today. I'm a recent graduate from Discovery High School, a school that hasn't really been mentioned much in this conversation. And I want to take a few minutes to speak out against the district merger because of what I believe would be lost, that being Discovery High School. I don't believe it's exactly a secret that one of the first things that would be cut in a merger would be Discovery, which I'm sure would be justified by the existence of Challenger Early College. And while I, of course, have no ill will at all towards Challenger, I believe this would be a grave mistake. While on paper, the schools look very similar, both selling themselves as non-traditional high school options catered towards preparing students for college, there are a few key differences that make Discovery necessary in Newton-Conover. The main one of these is the environment of DHS. DHS shapes its students into adults, ready to lead our community into the future, something it can only do because of its uniquely low student-to-teacher ratio and its place in the Newton-Conover City Schools District. The important connection it fosters between both students and their teachers and the students themselves is something irreplaceable. And this is something that I personally never really see at Challenger. And as a person that has many friends at Challenger, I can't say I've heard of it. And say I was a parent of a rising 8th grader. I would never send my child to Challenger simply because of the fact of what I just mentioned, but also the stressful environment they're thrown into from day one, not helped by the fact that they've had drastic changes in administration year after year, something we have not seen at Discovery, which we have had a lot of stability at, whether that be in administration, teachers, or student body. Of course, Discovery is not perfect, but for all of its flaws, I strongly believe its job in molding the next generation, my generation, is irreplaceable. And if it were to be shut down because of the merger, I think it would be a tremendous loss to the Newton-Conover community. I'm going to give it to Braden Blackwell, a fellow Discovery graduate from the class of 25, who has a few unique statistics and highlights from Discovery.
All right, so I am going to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for statistics. So let's talk numbers, guys. So the total student population at Discovery is somewhere around 150, and the class of 2025 had around 47 students. This class of 2025 raised $7.9 million in scholarship money from colleges in-state and across the country. The 15 students on the Discovery Science Olympiad team reached and placed at the state competition for Science Olympiad on limited resources. This was the first time since 2021. The Battle of the Books team placed first at the regional competition. The Envirothon team also placed at the regional competition, but unfortunately could not make it to the states due to scheduling conflicts. DHS and NCHS students donated 5 truckloads of supplies to support Watauga High School during the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like an underdog story for a school so small. It also sounds like resilience and dedication. So I want you to ask anyone in the Discovery family, whether that be a student, a parent, or a staff member, if Catawba County School Systems deserves the Discovery community. The answer is no.
Thank you, Braden. And with that being said, this does not have to be the end of one of the best things about Newton-Conover and its school district. We, the people of the district, have the opportunity today to make our voices heard, to make it heard to the county and to the board, who I would hope is on our side. And with that being said, thank you for letting us speak, and we hope Discovery, as well as Newton-Conover City Schools, will continue its march to the future and progress. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck on your future endeavors. I know you're going to make us proud. Next, we have Mr. Luke Walling. Mr. Walling. Good evening, sir. Glad you're with us.
I guess I don't need the stool. The guys that were just up here did a great job sharing some statistics. I'm going to tell you a story. Around a decade ago, I lamented about my public school experience to a fellow that I just met. Literally, I was just introduced to him to listen to that. And he quickly told me I was wrong. Usually in that kind of conversation, it might lead to a healthy debate, but it didn't with him. In this case, he threw me in his car and took me around the entire county, all 3 of our school systems, and took me on a tour of programs and schools that he thought would change my mind. It was eye-opening. I've been here since the 90s. I was a military kid. I moved back when my parents moved back. But I didn't know any of these things. I had to get a kid who was born back in '07 and start asking questions and challenge people to show me that there was something better. 2 of those schools that I was able to tour were here in Newton-Conover City Schools. One of them was Shuford Elementary, and the other was Discovery. Neither of those were planned tours. They were just show up, knock on the door, and we walk through. It was a little striking to shock some teachers and kids that way, but it was educational for me. And I was wearing shorts and flip-flops, so the kids liked it too. Discovery to me felt like a tour of a lively university. It was really interesting. You know, I saw kids I saw teachers high-fiving each other. I saw a cultural feel that didn't feel like any of the other high schools in our county. And by then, I'd been in quite a few. This was beyond eye-opening. I continued to spend lots of time with that fella. He became a friend of mine, somebody I considered a close friend. His name was Mark Story. He was the CTE director of Catawba County Schools back then, and he went on to found the K-64 program, which he did a great job with while he was still with us. Tremendous fellow. During COVID, my son was close to completing his middle school career back, I don't know, I'm trying to remember years now. So right after COVID would have been around 01, and he and I spoke great lengths about high school, where he wanted to go. Most importantly, he knew what he didn't want. And he was on a track to go to the very same high school that I went to when I was a teenager, and I made a very interesting choice to drop out of. And times have changed, school is much better, but it still culturally didn't feel like the place that would fit him. So he said, I want to go to Discovery. And he said at the very last minute he wanted to go to Discovery. And he didn't meet the criteria the school had for admission.
Mr. Walling, that's your time.
I'm blabbing way too long. But he asked this question, and I asked the school, I asked the board at the time, some of the folks are still here, then good superintendent there, Dr. Gabriel, I said, well, surely there's got to be a way we can get him in. We can't evaluate him based on 6th grade test scores. And they gave me a great answer. They said, sure. If he does great on your test scores at the end of middle school, let's talk. You won't get admitted till summertime. But everybody came together and gave the opportunity to let him in.
Mr. Walling, I've got a call for your time, please.
That's
sir.
good. So really, what I found here is a unique group of people that culturally fit, that are nimble, that move like a small business, like me. I'm a small business guy, and get stuff done. And I've continued to tour all the schools as much as I can. I was in a really horrible accident 2 years ago, but I still try. And what I found here consistently is a small business style group that gets things done and takes care of the customer. And the customer's not us, it's our kids. I got a lot more to say, but they'll get mad at me.
Thank you, Mr. Walling. Next, we have Beverly Danner. Ms. Danner? Good evening, Ms. Danner. Welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone. I read in the resolution, whereas a consolidated district would distance decision-making from local stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, and community members, diluting student representation. If Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools were to merge, the impact on low-income students would depend on several factors, including the structure of the merger, funding allocations, and integration of the support services. I am here tonight ensuring today that the voices of the low-income families are heard and considered, and that it is crucial for addressing their specific needs. Why it matters for low-income families? They have unique challenges. Low-income families often face barriers such as limited transportation, language differences, lack of internet access, which can isolate them from traditional school decision-making decisions and processes. The risk of oversight. Without deliberate outreach, these families may be left out of a merger discussions, resulting in policies or changes that don't reflect their needs or lived experiences. The trust building part is involving them meaningfully, building trust, especially if past experiences with the education system has been inequitable or disempowering. If funding is not adjusted accordingly, there could be challenges in meeting the needs of low-income students. Some of the red flags that the low-income community will be looking for and watching for is that there is not a one-size-fits-all planning. Policies designed without input from low-income communities often miss critical support needs like the free meals, mental health services, and transportation. And assuming that equity comes automatically, that's not true. Simply merging districts doesn't guarantee better services or outcomes unless equity is a driving force in the transition. Funding equity, that challenge would be this could require significant new investment to raise standards in the underserved areas and impacting the family's budget and their allocations. Other challenges would be uneven contributions, the perception of winners and losers in funding. That's urban versus rural. Also, greater funding needs for low-income support services. In my conclusion, the impact of a potential merger between Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools on low-income students would largely depend on how the merger is implemented, proactive planning, equitable resources distribution, and inclusive decision-making processes. And they all are essential to ensure that the needs of the low-income students are met and that the merger leads to positive outcomes for all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Danner. Lee Gaither. Good evening, welcome.
I'm a little nervous, but first thing I've heard about this is people are considering it a hostile takeover. Now, I don't think a hostile takeover is ever a good thing. I don't like being forced into things that I don't have time to think about. As a former military spouse, my children have attended 6 school districts, 6 cities, 9 different school districts, and 13 schools. So I've got a lot of experience being in different places with different ways of running things. We just came from Fayetteville, North Carolina. They have 17 high schools in their school district. It does not work. It does not work at all. When they would close things down because something would happen, one school would need to be open, the other schools need to be closed, everybody was closed. It didn't matter. They have schools that are 1s and schools that are 9s. They do not get the same special attention that they need. It is a very obvious, as compared to Upper St. Clair School, which was the I think it was the 4th high school in the state, had 100% graduation and a 99 college attendance. It was all its own school. So I think being in your own is the best way you can do what your children need. Second, when I left Fayetteville with my children and we needed a place to go, we looked here and we found Discovery School. And my daughter just graduated or just finished her freshman year at Discovery. It is amazing. She loves it. Her grades are amazing. She took, her AP scores, I imagine, are going to be really good. We haven't gotten them back yet. But the school is small. She feels welcome. And, this is why I came back. I went to school here. My brothers, my cousins, my uncles, my nephews, my grandfather, probably my great-grandfather, Lord back, I don't know how far. But I keep hearing that, and Discovery School needs some more funding. Y'all need to get those kids lockers. They don't even have lockers. They have to carry their sports equipment and their band instruments around to every single classroom through the entire day. I mean, high school students, get them lockers. Also, I keep hearing that Newton-Conover is at 55% capacity. Okay, like I say, you hear things, and I've just been here since July, so some things I don't know whether they're right or not. But I don't know, I guess that's about it. Like I said, I've been to 6 different school districts and 13 schools, and the bigger, the better does not work. I would not want this place to become anything close to what Fayetteville, North Carolina is. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaither. And next we have Mr. Tom Rao. Come on up, Mr. Rao. Good evening, sir. Glad to see you.
My name is Tom Rao. All this has sort of happened so fast, I hadn't had time to get my notes together. So I'm going to do this from memory. every one of you knows where Willis Reynolds Funeral Home is on Northwest Boulevard. If you go west from Willis Reynolds Funeral Home, probably less than a half a mile, you go to Hildebrand Creek. Hildebrand Creek is the boundary line between Newton-Conover School and Fred T. Ford School, the county schools, the way I remember it. I hadn't looked it up in a while. I'm sure I'll get corrected if I'm not telling the truth. So, everybody in Shannonbrook is supposed to come, it has to go, or doesn't have to go, they can, I think, get a change, but they are in Fred T. Ford's district. Now that makes a lot of sense. A half a mile behind Willis Funeral Homes, Willis Reynolds is the boundary line, Hildebrand Creek. It makes a lot of sense for people to have to ride all the way out to Fred T. Ford, which I ain't got my notes together, it's about 10 miles out there, or they could come less than 1 mile or 1 mile to Newton School. The same thing Nottingham. And I hadn't had time to get my notes together, so there are other subdivisions. The point is, all the money that's been spent all these years transporting people out to Fred T. Ford when they should have been coming to Newton-Conover anyway. Now, if the commissioners want to do something with their time, maybe they can figure out something on these boundary lines and change them. I am against what's before you, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. So that concludes our public forum. We've got some quick business to attend to before we get to our resolution. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda items. Everyone should have access to those. We have the approval for the regular and closed session minutes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, I will read a resolution opposing the consolidation of Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools. Whereas the Catawba County Board of Commissioners is considering the resolution consolidation of Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools. Whereas the Newton-Conover City Schools Board of Education believes that such consolidation would result in the erosion of educational quality, loss of local control, disruption of student services, increased financial burdens, and long-term harm to students and families and the broader community. Whereas Newton-Conover City Schools provides a tailored, responsive, and high-quality education uniquely suited to its community through innovative programs such as Discovery High School, the Pathways Program, the SAVE Lab, and the Advanced Core Program, which serve a diverse spectrum of student needs. Whereas Discovery High School, a rigorous choice-based public high school with pathways to early college degrees and robust extracurriculars, is a unique offering that can be eliminated or diminished as a result of consolidation. Whereas the existence of 3 separate school districts in Catawba County foster academic competition, encourages innovation, and prevents complacency, leading to better outcomes for all students. Whereas consolidation would reduce school choice for families and eliminate a vital element of educational diversity and autonomy in the region. Whereas a consolidated district would distance decision makers from local stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, and community members, diluting local representation, particularly given the absence of a communicated plan for Newton or Conover representation on any consolidated Board of Education. Whereas the Catawba County Board of Commissioners have not commissioned a study to analyze all the potential impacts of consolidation and therefore cannot unequivocally substantiate the financial or other justification for consolidation. Whereas previous studies, including a recent study analyzing a potential merger of Asheville City and Buncombe County schools, found that merging school systems yield negligible cost savings, a conclusion likely true here as well. Whereas consolidation would force immediate redistricting, cause confusion and disruption to families, and displace carefully developed strategic plans of the Newton-Conover City Schools. Whereas consolidation distances communities from their schools, reducing transparency, slowing decision-making, and undermining accountability to local citizens. And now therefore be it resolved that the Newton-Conover Board of Education will vote on this, make a decision to oppose or approve consolidation. So is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I actually believe we're going to have a discussion about this motion, on this resolution. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. If you'd like to lead that off.
Sure. So, look, you know, I'm not a social media person in general. I think there's a lot of negativity on there, and there's not a lot of fact most of the time. You know, whenever I heard this, you know, I remember us as a board discussing the rumor mill. Goodness, time flies, maybe 3 months or so ago. There was conversation, and the chatter was, well, we've been there before, it won't happen. And so, you know, we're here now, and I appreciate seeing everyone show up this evening. I think that's very important to do in a democratic society. Generally, we have an audience of one. So I appreciate Mr. Cranford for showing up again this evening. So in general, you know, I will say that it's a great pleasure to see so many people out and wanting to nudge the board and help us understand this dilemma. And the reality is that this isn't really our fight. And what I mean is from a board perspective, there's some legal avenue of where we can navigate to, but generally this is a commissioner issue, and the commissioners is where we need to be at. And so I will say that I hope that same passion carries forward to other conversations, to other constituents, and to other stakeholders in our community, because here today is merely a discussion. That's really effectively what we're doing. The other piece I want to say is that, you know, the board has changed over time. The county has changed over time. We have, you know, partisan elections and now on the school board. You know, and I very proudly can say that I'm a conservative, and I'm very proud about when we go through the budget line item by line item, I look at it and say, hey, are we making the right decision and being good stewards of taxpayer dollars? You know, when I sit here and I had a conversation with we all had various different conversations with the commissioners, and one of the conversations that come up was, you know, can the cities do something about this? The cities itself. And forgive me, I mean, I feel like as a resident of the city of Newton, I get taxed like hell, and I don't have any service for it. So I really get very frustrated. I don't have the highest tax value home-wise here, but I definitely pay the most in taxes versus our golf course counterparts on the other side. And so that's from a city of Newton perspective. So I understand that the commissioners have a very tough decision, and they're looking at Catawba County, and they're saying, okay, well, who are we raising taxes on? Because it sounds like the city, not that I would advocate, I mean, in the city of Newton, we pay for recycling, I think, but they cut that out, but we still pay higher in taxes. So not that I would trust the city to run it, but I asked, I was like, what can we do for the city itself to actually pay for it? Because they give us zero in funding. They help us with some resource officers, which we appreciate, but not a lot of support locally. And so it's great to see the local community show up here. Because it says that we have still some fight within us, and we can find local alternatives and options. So anyways, having said that, I just wanted to express that there's some concern. You know, obviously we as Christians and conservatives, you know, we're taught to be selfless. We think about our brothers and sisters in the other counties. I don't have any ill will towards them. And I think about their taxes going up to fund their schools. That's a big $500 million deficit, I think, that's floating around out there. You might have heard different numbers on social media. I don't know what to trust anymore. Definitely not the media. So anyways, I think this is a very tough conversation, and I'm glad we're having this evening, and I look forward to hashing out a little bit about the resolution and the framework. But I would hope that we have further discussion before, some remarks before we move forward and looking at this resolution. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Heath?
Fellow members of the board, staff, and community, it's a set of unfortunate circumstances that brings us to this evening. And let me just interrupt. I'm going to read what I have to say because I'm a pretty emotional person. I get emotional about a few things: my family, my kids, my God, and Newton-Conover. And if you know me, you know my emotions can take over, so I've written my remarks down. Over the course of the last several weeks, there's been an apparent whisper campaign inside and outside the Newton-Conover community. I don't know how many times and how many people came up to me using the phrase, "I hear Newton-Conover is insolvent," and that Newton-Conover has asked the county to merge them with Catawba County Schools. Or how many staff members or folks in Newton and Conover have reached out to me saying that they have heard from Catawba County School staff that Newton-Conover schools will be joining Catawba County Schools in just a couple years. First, let me address the issue of solvency of Newton-Conover City Schools. Like all traditional public schools across the state of North Carolina, money is tight. But we are solvent. We can and we do pay our bills. We make our payroll. And we operate a highly functional public school district in North Carolina. This was affirmed Friday by Chairman Eisenhower and County Manager Furtado, who each looked at our finances with our finance director, Carmen Houston. But like all our families, we do have to make tough budget decisions when money gets tight. And sometimes we don't like the decisions we have to make. Second, no one in Newton-Conover has initiated talks with the county government to merge schools with Catawba County Schools. We value our community, and we value our autonomy. Personally, when I ran for school board, each time I've run for school board, in my campaign for Board of Education, my platform partially included an opposition to a merger of districts in Catawba County, because I know that's been a historical issue in this area. And finally, the common language we've all heard. We've heard the word insolvency and asking for mergers and all these kind of things. That common language isn't a mistake. Someone who has a stake in seeing the commissioner's plan through has very shrewdly drawn first blood in this messaging and PR battle. These common themes and words do not come about on their own. They have been put in the community, within our schools, and across the county with a purpose. Upon receiving a call from Chairman Hayes about his meeting with Randy Eisenhower and Mary Furtado Friday a week ago, I've been pondering about how we can save what makes Newton-Conover so special. And I want to tell you, it begins with the things that we heard tonight from all of you. You make a difference. Newton-Conover voices make a difference. Don't let anyone tell you they don't. A couple years ago, Dr. Gabriel had some shirts made that said NCCS, where everybody knows your name. I think I saw Paige Smith wearing one tonight. Giving that nod to the old TV show Cheers. And to me, that's the beginning of what makes our community special. And here's how that translates. This Board of Education traditionally is a working school board. We don't just show up here for meetings twice a month and take the occasional tour of a school. This board is in schools, visiting classrooms, helping in car lines, assisting marching band, blowing up inflatable helmets at football games, running scoreboards and play clocks, doing PA announcing for football, basketball, and the Southeastern Classic, and going on student field trips as a chaperone. This board is in your schools. You see them when you're out. You know if you go to a church, maybe the grocery store, or you go to a band concert, a football game, or a musical, you have a pretty good chance of running into one of us and having an opportunity to ask a question or share an opinion. Take the district staff here at Newton-Conover. This staff isn't confined to the city block that we're sitting in right now. Quite often, when we're short a bus driver, someone here will pick up a set of keys and they'll drive. Make sure kids get to where they need to go. And that's not just school days, those are extracurricular activities as well. When a principal has an emergency and has a need to step away, a staff member from here will happily fill in temporarily while that principal takes care of those things that he or she needs to take care of. When a student finds out the superintendent shares his love for the Waffle House, that superintendent invites the student with his family to breakfast at Waffle House. When the band is coming upon the end of another successful marching season, this staff provides them a pizza party to thank them for all their hard work and for representing Newton and Conover with class. I was not elected in a partisan election, but I am a Republican. And one of the things I noticed tonight, and this isn't in my notes, and one of the things I was most proud of tonight was as I listened to you all, a lot of you I knew, a couple of you I didn't, but I know you all come from different political backgrounds. This isn't a Republican and a Democrat issue. This is a Newton-Conover issue. And I think that's important. This is not a partisan issue. But as a Republican, I'm for government at its most local level and with very limited bureaucracy. Government is inherently inefficient and non-responsive to the service it is supposed to provide citizens. And the further government gets away from the citizens, the less efficient, the less effective, and the more unresponsive it becomes. I'd rather our students, families, and community to experience the personal and local level of governance of public education and the interactions our schools have within our twin cities that bring so much success to Newton-Conover. And I don't want them to find an impersonal school experience where their district staff and their Board of Education members are just names that they might occasionally hear about in the newspaper or come election time. What has this local personal touch of Newton-Conover brought us? Newton-Conover City Schools was one of only 15 districts in the state of North Carolina with all of its schools receiving an A, B, or C from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction last year. Discovery High School is ranked the 8th best high school in the state of North Carolina. It is also ranked as the #1 high school in the Hickory metro area. That includes Catawba, Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba counties. And that comes from U.S. News and World Reports. In May 2024, Dr. Aaron Gabriel, our superintendent, was named by his colleagues as Northwest Regional Superintendent of the Year. Newton-Conover City Schools boasts the most successful fine arts program in the county, led by the Newton-Conover Band, chorus, and a growing theater program at the middle school and high school levels. And finally, Newton-Conover High School and Middle School have historical and current athletic success. Newton-Conover High School celebrates 20 total team state championships and is this year's Catawba Valley Athletic Conference Wells Fargo Cup winner. Newton-Conover Middle School this year finished second in overall rankings for all sports among county middle schools. So if the outcomes for students are by and large positive, and that's got to be the most important thing we look at in this decision-making process, I ask, what is the motivation then behind the Board of Commissioners' plan to close Newton-Conover City Schools and merge us with Catawba County Schools. Now I want to tell you a couple things I learned Friday in a meeting we had with Chairman Eisenhower and County Manager Furtado. Since Mrs. Furtado has been county manager, she told us that spending in Catawba County per student has gone from a ranking of 56th in the state to a ranking of 65th in the state. That is 65th out of 100 counties, putting us near the bottom third per student across the state. When Mr. Gonzalez in that same meeting asked if merging would benefit students by increasing funding per student, the answer was no. While Ms. Furtado indicated a desire to increase our ranking in the state, she likewise indicated that this merger will not move that needle. I submit to you, our commissioners have options. But as of today, and as of the discussions we had Friday, they have shown no desire to explore any other option outside of a merger between Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools. Now, when you ask yourself why they intend to move forward with this merger, you also have to ask yourself this question: why they aren't insisting on merging Hickory City Schools in this plan? And we asked them that question Friday, and the answer was that Hickory doesn't help them save money on building projects needed in Catawba County Schools. In fact, Hickory City Schools has proposed a new high school, and we've all heard some big numbers floating around for the last couple months. And Friday I heard one that absolutely shocked me and floored me. Hickory High School could cost as much as $173 million. A figure we just heard Friday. Mr. Chairman, I ran for this Board of Education seat and was voted in by our citizens in part because of my opposition to a merger. I will not betray that principle now. I will vote yes for the resolution to oppose the Catawba County government plan for a merger.
Thank you, Mr. Heath. Mr. Pennell?
Oh, well. Okay, I hope you can hear me. Please forgive me if I stumble on this. I know people talk about numbers, budget, and test scores. And sure, those things are very important. But let's not pretend that all school systems, that all is a school system. Newton-Conover isn't just lines on the spreadsheet. It's people. It's teachers who check in on their kids long after the bell rings. It's the cafeteria workers who knows every child by name. It's the families who show up, win or lose, because their school are a part of who we are. Some folks get in their heads that bigger is automatically better, but we know better than that. Bigger means more complication, more distant, less personal. And what we have here is something rare, something real. A school system where kids are seen, where parents feel heard, and where community still matters. I'm not saying we're perfect, no school system is, but I'm saying this: you don't throw away something that works just to chase a myth. And Newton-Conover works. We're growing smart kids, strong kids, kids who are proud of where they are. That's something you merge into something else. That's something you fight for. That's something that you don't merge for something else. Okay. Some are asking before this is, so I'm asking before this decision is made, let's take a breath. Let's take the time to really look at what we have and what we're giving up. Let's listen to the families. Let's talk to the teachers and staff, and who've poured in their lives into this place. That's something that we cannot undo. And then there's Conover School, a place most folks don't see every day, but one that quietly reflects the best of who we are. It's a school full of heart, a place where some of our most vulnerable children, those who have profound special needs, are met with patient compassion and dignity every single day. The kind of care that can't be measured in tests, on test scores or budgets. The kind of love that you can't standardize on the scale. But that spirit doesn't stop there. It lives in Discovery High School, where students with big dreams and college ambitions are given a space to grow, with teachers who know them by name, guide them one-on-one, and push them towards the future they never thought possible. It's a quiet encouragement between classes, the extra time spent after school, the belief that every student, no matter where they start, deserves a chance to rise. It's in Shuford, North Newton, South Newton, where the fundamentals of character and learning are laid brick by brick, story by story, smile by smile. You can see it on the kids' faces at Newton-Conover Middle School, where they're starting to figure out who they are, where they're realizing that life is bigger than a video game, and passing trends. They're beginning to dream their own dreams. And it's at Newton-Conover High School where students carry not just books, but the weight of becoming athletes, artists, leaders, and citizens. They're learning that life isn't always written in black and white. It's that who they are becoming matters just as much as what they're learning. Every school, every hallway, every staff member is part of this shared commitment to raising the next generation. Every school in Newton-Conover is held close to the community's heart, like a Bible clutched to the chest of someone whose faith runs deep. It's not just the buildings or the buses. It's a sacred ground. It's a tradition. It's a trust. And it's deeply personal. It's not just the teachers. Though they're the heartbeat, it's the principals, the office staffs, the janitors, the bus drivers, the lunchroom ladies, the counselors and the volunteers, every single person who pours themselves into these kids day after day, whether they walk through the doors or roll through them, whether they're headed to college or learning how to communicate for the very first time, every child is met with the same question: how can we help you? How can we help you grow? These aren't numbers on the spreadsheet. These are children. These are lives. This is our future. And if we consolidate this district, if we fold Newton-Conover into something larger, something less personal, we risk losing the very soul of what is special. Schools like Conover might be overlooked, the personal relationships. Discovery could be lost in the crowd, the intimacy, that the culture, the care, those quiet, sacred things that don't always show up on reports could vanish in the name of efficiency. We won't be changing a structure. We'll be giving up a promise. And once that promise is broken, it's not easily put back. Some of you may know that I'm a writer. The words come to me in my mind. I see things clearly. I remember moments, feelings, people. I can write them down and bring them to life on a page. But when I try to speak, like tonight, those feelings out loud, the words don't come always the way I want them to. I might have lost a bit of that ability when I had my stroke, but not the feelings. These words, everything I've said here today, they come from the deepest part. Come from the deepest part of me. And even if I can't always say them smoothly, I hope you can hear it from my heart. A plea, a promise, a prayer for our children. So let's not trade away something that gives them hope for a plan that only looks good on paper. Because a child feels seen, they grow, they believe in themselves, they dream. And right now, Newton-Conover, we see them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pennell. Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say thank you to all of you out here showing up here tonight, especially our recent graduates. Great to see all of them again. Your presence proves what we already know, and that's that Newton-Conover matters. On Friday, I met with County Commission Chair, much like all of us did, and I want to make sure you aren't left in the dark, because we were a little bit. So here's what I know. On July 21st, the commissioners intend to introduce and vote on a resolution to begin the process of consolidating only Newton-Conover City Schools with Catawba County Schools. And I've been told in no uncertain terms, we have the votes. Now, I hope that's troubling to all of you because that statement makes it clear there's little to no intention to engage in a meaningful public dialogue and that this decision has been made behind closed doors and not in the public domain. From there, it is my understanding they plan to propose a significant tax increase on the entire county to cover approximately $500 million in infrastructure needs across the county district. This will likely result in countywide redistricting. And what will Newton-Conover have to show for it? Unfortunately, very little. There is no plan to direct any of that increased tax revenue that I'm aware of toward addressing infrastructure needs in the Newton-Conover feeder pattern. Now, yeah, Newton-Conover High School is slated to receive funds for Phase 2 of the project, but those funds were already approved in the 4-year capital plan 2 years ago, before any of this was talked about. And we are very grateful for those funds. But the reality is the total cost of the new and renovated Newton-Conover High School is approximately $64 million. Of that, about $15 million is funded by Catawba County taxpayers through those hard-earned dollars of our taxpayers. $15 million of 64. And we are sincerely grateful for every dime of that support from our local taxpayers, and we recognize the responsibility that comes with it. However, and not to sound unappreciative, the vast majority of the funding came from the state's needs-based capital grant, paid for by the North Carolina Education Lottery. And thanks to that grant and our district's strategic foresight, we are building a modern, high-quality facility for pennies on the local taxpayer's dollar. A state-of-the-art school for our students at an incredible value to our taxpayers. But this consolidation decision undermines the Republican principle, and our county commissioners are all Republicans, the fundamental principle of school choice. One of the most powerful things about Catawba County is the opportunity for families to choose between 3 distinct school districts. That choice, it fuels innovation, it empowers parents, and it matters. If Newton-Conover is absorbed, that choice disappears, and it risks fostering complacency, reducing healthy competition, and can ultimately lead to poorer outcomes for students. Sure, you'll still choose your school, but they'll answer to the same board, the same policies, the same centralized decisions, and made all without our voice. It won't be about the decisions we make as a community, but about the decisions they make for us. And with that shift, the Red Devil traditions and principles we hold dear will begin to erode. And what happens then? You've heard it already, but let me give you that example. 7 years ago, and for the past 7 years, approximately up until this year, every high school marching band in the county dropped out of the Eagle Soldiers Reunion Parade. Every single one, except the Newton-Conover Marching Band. Why is that? Well, because Newton-Conover supported the tradition. Our local board and admin stood behind our kids, and they marched. Had they not, a time-honored tradition may have slowly faded away. Now, let me be clear about this. If I thought for 1 second that a larger combined school district would benefit the students of Newton-Conover City Schools, then I could go along with this plan, but I don't. Last year, Newton-Conover City Schools, as you heard by Mr. Heath, was one of 15 districts in the state with no schools with an accountability score below a C. Keep in mind, there's 115 districts in our state. And interestingly enough, of those 15, 1/3 of those high-performing districts were small city districts, proving bigger is not always better. Sometimes bigger is just more bloated, more distant, and less responsive. In smaller systems, we could be agile, we could pivot quickly to meet the needs of our students. If this were truly about improving student outcomes, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. High-performing districts like Newton-Conover wouldn't be the target. Instead, this appears to be about saving money because one singular study tells them so. But here's what that study doesn't show. It's the loss of critical federal funding that could result from this consolidation. When districts merge, student demographics shift, and that shift can lead to significant reduction in Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, and our most vulnerable population, our exceptional children's funds. Those losses won't magically vanish, and that burden, well, guess where it's going? Back to you on the local taxpayer. In the long run, the cost to our community could far exceed what they hope to save. There's often the argument that I see flying around, we could save so much money by eliminating administrative positions and consolidating our central offices. Well, on the surface, sure, that looks good. But a closer look tells a different story. For example, a superintendent's salary is primarily funded by the state. That money can't just be redirected to local funding or increased per pupil spending. That money would be gone from Catawba County forever. Now, don't take my word for it. Look at the Buncombe County study that Dr. White referenced earlier this evening. They commissioned a full feasibility study just in December of 2024. They analyzed real cases and they did their homework. And their conclusion, and I quote, "The relevant research and experiences of those in recently consolidated North Carolina school systems does not provide convincing evidence that consolidation would bring about large financial savings." And unless one or more districts are in financial crisis, consolidation likely doesn't make sense at all. Thanks to strategic steps that we took this year, Newton-Conover City Schools is not in a crisis, and we continue to maintain a healthy fund balance. And if anybody tells you differently, they're lying to your face. So let me recap. If this plan goes forward and you live within Newton-Conover City Schools, they're taking your district, they're probably raising your taxes, and you're going to have very little in return to show for it. We offered a plan we think could work. We are willing and we want to be good partners in cooperation, but gosh, we need a seat at the table first. There's a solution to this other than messing up what already works. You don't burn the house down just because the door sticks. On a personal note, to me, Newton-Conover isn't just a school district. It's a home. It's a place that shaped me, that welcomed me, that believed in me. I spent years in a neighboring district before arriving at Newton-Conover High School as a freshman. And from those days, I was embraced by the Red Devil family. And I've proudly worn that red ever since. Being part of this community has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. Serving it, one of the greatest honors. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe there are good people on our Board of Commissioners. I spoke to several of them this weekend. But based on everything that's happened, it sure does feel like they've forgotten about Newton-Conover. And that hurts. Because this community, it's special, it's close-knit, it's full of heart, and it's worth fighting for. This will take all of us. We need you to speak up, contact our commissioners, show up at their meeting on July 21st where they plan to pass this resolution. Tell your story and flood that room with red. Let them know we are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. We are students, we are families, we are educators, we are neighbors, and we are Newton-Conover. And even if that resolution passes, we keep going because this fight isn't over. Nope, not by a long shot. So what do we do now? We slow down. And I communicated that to the commissioners I spoke with because this is too big, it's too permanent, and it's too personal for rushed decisions. Yet here we are, watching our commissioners race toward a vote without truly understanding what's at stake. This decision should not be based on a single study, a single facility study conducted by an architect. It should be based on a comprehensive, community-driven, or community-informed, research-driven study, one like this, the Buncombe County study, rooted in research, driven by local input, and focused on student outcomes, not just square footage. But instead, we're being handed this. A report about buildings, not children, not staff, not results. So I ask you, and I ask every county commissioner who's watching this, which one of these looks like due diligence? The Buncombe County study or this? We already know the answer. Now we just need to act on it. Mr. Chairman, I wholeheartedly support our resolution denouncing the County Commissioner's plan to merge Newton-Conover City Schools with Catawba County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Dr. Gordon, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's sure hard to follow Mr. Gonzalez. So I have the unique position of sharing my testimony with yours tonight as both a board member, but mostly as a parent. I look out at you, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So I know so many of you, students and band director and teachers and administrators, and it has been the honor of my lifetime to just play a small part in supporting this amazing school system. I've had 4 children now graduate from our school system. They're all thriving, and many of you know that that may not have been the case for all my kids. So the reason I'm sitting up here on the board is because I owe it to the school system to work to keep it the way it is and just only get better. I knew I would cry. I always do. So let me start by saying this. I believe in collaboration. I believe in wise stewardship of public funds, and I absolutely believe that every child, regardless of zip code, deserves an excellent education. But I also believe deeply in the value of local governance and responsiveness, and in the unique strengths of our city schools that our city school system provides. The primary justification for this proposed merger is financial. The commissioners have pointed to potential taxpayer savings. But like Mr. Gonzalez said, those projections are based on a single study, one study. For a decision of this scope affecting thousands of students and families, that's simply not enough. A major structural change like this demands more than a single economic model. It requires transparency, multiple perspectives, and long-term vision, not rushed assumptions. Our city schools are not failing, they're thriving. We have strong academic performance, dedicated educators, and a community that cares deeply about success of every student. The size of our district is not a weakness, it's a strength. Our smaller structure allows us to act quickly, to adapt, to meet the needs of students without getting lost in layers of bureaucracy. As a physician, I make serious decisions every day based on thorough evidence. I do not rely on a single data point to make life-altering decisions. We should not do the same with our school system. As a parent, I value local leadership, people who understand this community because they are a part of it. A merger would risk removing decision-making power from those who know our families best. That would be a step backwards. Let's not pretend that bigger automatically means better. In education, bigger often means more disconnected, more distant, less nimble, less personal. We need to ask, what are we really gaining? And more importantly, what do we stand to lose? We risk losing the culture, the relationships, and the responsiveness that define our city schools. We risk losing trust, and we risk sacrificing a high-functioning system for savings that are speculative at best. I firmly believe that the right thing is the right thing. The best thing is the best thing. And the argument that one is fiscally responsible and the other is touchy-feely community feelings is false. We have a truth that combines all of it, right? And as a board, we're willing to have conversations to figure out the answers to our problems. So tonight, I urge this community to pause. Let's not rush into a decision that could permanently alter the fabric of our children's education. Let's seek more information. Let's engage in real dialogue, and let's remember that a true measure of a school system's success isn't just dollars, it's the student it serves. So tonight, Mr. Chairman, I also agree to support our current resolution to oppose the merger of our school systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. So a few weeks ago, a forcible merger plan was dropped on the Board of Education. A whisper campaign was started prior to the forcible merger conversation to sow seeds of concern, division between the parents, staff, district, and this board. Words like insolvency have been used to promote a feeling of despair and impending doom. Insolvency, it's not a word used everyday conversation, not at least in the people that I run with. But amazingly, it's been used to spread misinformation, which makes me question, where did these rumors begin? Because I've only heard that term from one entity. Like many school districts, we make adjustments every year to address our spending and funding needs. Due to constant changes in funding models for education at local, state, federal levels, changes must be made to remain nimble as we seek to provide the best possible education for our students. This does not make Newton-Conover City Schools insolvent. This makes us good stewards of the taxpayers' money. We're a responsive school district willing to make hard decisions so we can provide our students and staff with the best tools possible for a successful educational career for our students. Another phrase that's been planted is that Newton-Conover City Schools is experiencing declining or static growth. All public schools have trended downward since the pandemic for various reasons, to include reduced birth rate and increase in charter schools. However, a recent study shows there are 1,860 housing units under construction or planned in Newton-Conover City Schools District. This growth is projected to add approximately 320 students to our district over the next 5 years, 683 students over the next 10 years, and 778 over the next 20 years. That's a clear indicator of growth. Newton-Conover City Schools is a special place for students, parents, community members. Local schools are often the backbone of many communities, and I would argue Newton-Conover is no different. Attend any event, and you'll see not only students and parents, but also teachers, administrators, board members, volunteering and participating in sports and events to support our students. Strong local engagement is part of what makes our district special. Another great thing about our district is diversity in student population. Newton-Conover City Schools ranks 6th in the state of North Carolina in diversity. I personally believe this leads to the exceptional growth our schools have realized over the last few years. Currently, we have no school below a C letter grade. I think you've heard that once or a half a dozen times tonight. We have 71% of our students participating in career and technical education courses, with over 1,554 credentials earned in various areas. Roughly 64% of our students participate in the music arts, whereas the state average is just 52.8. These are just a few of the reasons Newton-Conover City Schools is ranked #1 in Catawba County. And also #9 in the state of North Carolina. I have a quote from a case study performed by Dr. Leslie Barnett concerning mergers that I'd like to share. And Dr. Barnett is a current board member of Catawba County Schools. Quote, whether consolidation will take place because of political pressure from the legislature or because local boards and county commissioners attempt to save money or improve student achievement, the fact is that the systems involved will embark on a journey that is fraught with a lengthy and involved process. In fact, the outcomes derive from the 5 measurements selected by this researcher to assess the degree of progress reveal spotty improvements. Some areas, such as the graduation rate and attendance, showed improvement, while student achievement, one of the most important measures of success for a school district, declined and could not be determined, end quote. I'm proud of our achievements. and our advancements in education for our students in Newton-Conover City Schools. We have great parents, students, and staff that provide valuable input and support to our district. I'm proud that our board is willing to never back down from a challenge and always remain student-centered in every decision we make. Due to the conservative fiscal nature of this board, we will begin the 2025-2026 school year with a fund balance of approximately $3.2 million, fully prepared to continue our academic journey of excellence and independence. So I firmly stand against this merger. And at this time,
Mr. Chairman, a point of information. I submitted a document with 10 amendments just to clear up the language. I'm still seeing old language in this, and you informed me prior to the meeting this has been addressed. Can you inform me what happened?
yeah, that's the adjusted resolution is the one that I have from you, Mr. Scott.
Well, then, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to just to go over some of these.
Sure.
Because I believe.
Yes, sir.
I believe what may have happened is that when you show up in preview, we are not downloading it and looking at the individual edits. So, you know, I will say I get very cautious. It's easy to talk with passion from a government perspective, and I just want to eliminate some of the vagueness at times or things that are probably a little too hypothetical. So, for instance, let's see, I'm going to find this. So the second whereas clause, I'll leave that to be as fine. These are very, very busy, and I believe our legal office has written this document, and I'm happy to have a point of information to verify that our attorney wrote this. Could I have that information?
It was input from everyone.
All right. So I'm going to ask that we strike, and whereas clause number 5, let me just verify how I should probably say this. So one of my arguments is that, and before I make a motion, I'll clarify. So there's a few things in this this resolution. We talk about competition. Public schools are not competing against one another. In the state of North Carolina, we have a right to provide our citizens with a sound and basic education. You know, I'm not a radio personality. I'm not someone that's going to get up here and give you a grand speech, but I'm someone that's thorough in research and thorough in concise language. And I made this a mission when I kept talking to our board and to Mr. Chairman here is I kept saying I want to make sure we're clear and concise, and we're very wordy. But I appreciate the passion, but that passion does not belong in good government writing. So anyways, having said that, I'm not seeing the edits that I've asked, and so I do think that's a little frustrating from my side. But I would like to see competition removed from whereas 5. I'm also looking at whereas number 7. This is very hypothetical. I tried several different ways to look at this. Saying that a larger district consolidates distance decision-making from local stakeholders. From a communication side, this is a lot from a whereas clause from what we expect from a resolution. But parents, teachers, students, and community members, I want to ask the board to consider if we could either just strike maybe just a larger from it, or if we want to overall strike the whereas clause as itself, because I think, we've sit here, I think Mr. Gonzalez said something that I think was very well about one of my first complaints to the commissioners was this was it, and it was a very thin packet, right? Robbie, demonstrate for us again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, please. Show and tell, Vanna White. There you go. Got
See
it.
it the first time, this
Yeah.
versus this.
Yeah, my big complaint, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. My biggest complaint was this was it. As an economist, I think like that's silly. Where's all the facts? And so when I start to look at this, I'm a little nervous about where the research is coming from. But to be honest, I think whereas number 7, I would consider either amending or striking as is. I look at whereas number 9. While I appreciate the thoroughness from the Asheville-Buncombe study, the last thing I want to be tied with is sending our very partisan government a reminder that we like to quote Democrats from the Catawba County Board about a study, and we also like to talk about Asheville-Buncombe from a government perspective. That's very nervous. I would move that we strike that. And then also, striking, and whereas number 11 represents a shift toward larger, cumbersome governments, also that means we can adjust the distancing aspect as well. There are continuous aspects that I could look here, and I want to just focus on the language itself. To say it like this, one, Mr. Chairman, I'm very frustrated because I'm not seeing the changes in here. I understand you're saying that it is, but those changes are not present. 2, I also think this looks a little dishonest because everyone in here had a great, beautiful, big speech, right? Big speech, grandiose, so looks fantastic. But this, when we sit here and talk about conservative government, I mean, look, I can beat up the commissioner for days about conservative government. Apparently, you know, we elect Republicans around here since forever, and we love to have a very large government. They asked me one time and said, why don't you do other things? And I said, well, because they wouldn't like me very much, I'd cut everything out because I don't understand why we have so many government employees. Everybody works for the government around here. And so anyways, having said that, I think the language is very large, and I would encourage us to kind of look at tailoring that. But I do think there's a little bit of deceit that might have happened here, and I'm very frustrated by that. Because it makes our other government partners look really rough, and I don't appreciate that from the board. I also think that, quite frankly, I mean, I don't know if this board is entertaining any aspect of this because I sure wasn't asked for clarity. I never got a response back on everything was adjusted. So I'm a little challenged here because I think when we sit here and talk about politics, again, we're citing a bunch of liberals, and we're also talking about this study and that study, and we don't want to be partisan, but sure in our language and everything we just did was very partisan, and I'm really shocked and disgusted by that. So having said that, those are some of my concerns about this resolution. So I'll yield from there.
Yeah, the resolution I read earlier was your resolution with the changes that you had indicated.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to formally strike whereas clause number 2.
Okay, strike number 2.
Discussion?
Sure.
There's not been a second, Mr. Chairman.
Is that a motion, Mr. Scott?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was a motion.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Hearing none, motion dies. Any other discussion? Anyone else like to make a motion to approve the resolution as recited earlier?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now therefore be it resolved that the Newton-Conover City Schools Board of Education firmly opposes any effort to consolidate Newton-Conover City Schools and Catawba County Schools. Be it further resolved that the board urges the Catawba County Board of Commissioners to abandon consolidation discussions and instead work collaboratively with Newton-Conover City Schools to explore strategic alternatives to the main local control and educational excellence. Be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be transmitted to the Catawba County Board of Commissioners, members of the Catawba County delegation of the North Carolina General Assembly, and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and all relevant stakeholders. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your support, and we will continue the good fight. Next item on the agenda is continuing budget resolution. Ms. Houston? Thank you, everyone. If you want to leave, feel free. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We know that'll be a mass exodus. No. Go ahead, Ms. Houston.
The continuing budget resolution as presented to the board is a multifunction. It is number one, a continuing budget resolution for us to continue as is with our current budget until the state approves a budget for 25-26. The second request is to allow Dr. Gabriel as a superintendent to make any necessary budget amendments in June to finish up our school year with a full copy of the budget amendments being sent to the board on June 30th.
Okay, everyone should have a copy of the continuing budget resolution. Is there a motion to approve the continuing budget resolution as presented by Ms. Houston?
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Budget amendments, Ms. Houston.
The state budget amendments for the month of June, we received behavioral support money for PRC 029, children with disabilities in PRC 089 for special state reserve, an adjustment to hurricane relief recovery. We did have an increase in our state budget of $3,968.64, bringing our total state budget to $22,192,397.73. On our federal allotments, or amendments, we did have an increase in our IDA 6B for EC students for May approvals and a supplemental allotment. We also received an increase for final approvals in our Title II ELA. Our total increase for federal funds was $23,831, bringing our total federal budget to $2,153,450.41. And our local current expense, we did have receive a couple grants for My Future NC. We did receive a donation for the Alden Elliott Memorial. We received our May revenue for Rockwell Development. We did receive a tutor grant from United Way, and we did receive a Shack Supplies grant from NC Healthy Schools. Our total increase in our local budget was $19,150, bringing our total local budget to $10,918,737.13.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Houston on the budget amendments? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Houston.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, before we go into closed session, we just got some upcoming dates there. We got Hearts and Hope Golf Tournament fundraiser the 19th. Dr. Gabriel's birthday the 22nd. Mr. Gonzalez the 24th. So a lot of good things coming up. At this time, I entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143.318.11 for the following purposes. Under subsection A1, to prevent the disclosure of privileged and confidential student information pursuant to 20 U.S.C. 1232G, and General Statute 115C 402E under subsection A1 to prevent the disclosure of privileged or confidential personal information pursuant to General Statute 115C 319321 under subsection A3 to discuss matters, personnel advice with Board Attorney, General Statute 143.318.11. Is there a motion to go into closed session? Is there a second? All in
Mr.
favor,
Chairman,
say aye.
before that, before the cameras stop rolling for this, I do want to say, I agree with Mr. Scott on the principle of Catawba County Schools has been a good partner, and I hope they remain a good partner with us as we move forward in this journey together.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right. All in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're in closed session. Thanks, everybody.